How would you describe how you're feeling the morning of Game 1?
Yeah, obviously a lot of excitement. The butterflies building, so obviously excited to be here at home and in front of our fans. We know the type of atmosphere they're going to create. So obviously a few days here to rest up and prepare, and I think we're obviously ready and excited to get after it.
What gives you the most confidence that this group is ready to get over the hump?
Well, I think just the way we've built our game throughout the season, and the way you handle the peaks and valleys of the year, and the adversity you face, and the chemistry that you build, through this season, but obviously for a lot of our guys throughout the last number of years, and I think just the driving force to wanting to be successful and making the most of the opportunity.
What did you guys take away from that series last year? What was the feeling coming out of it, and what can you take from that into this one?
Well, I felt in obviously playing them, and then you've seen them the couple of years prior, and obviously going to the finals last year, and hearing them talk about the process that they have, or the formula that they have to win, and it's a very difficult formula to beat, obviously, and they have a strong belief in that. So it's on us to figure that out and rise to that challenge and that to the occasion, and fine-tuning what our formula is, and how we can break them down and assert our game, and obviously wear them down to get the results that we need to push us forward.
Did you see any of last night's games, and then if so, did that sort of fire you up for what's coming tonight?
Yeah, anytime you're the second day, the start of the playoffs, it gives you a chance to I think not reignite, but I think just it's been a year, so just obviously get a sense and feel again playoff hockey, and what your experience is like from the past, or for anyone new to try to acquaint to it as quickly as you can. So it's always exciting. Stanley Cup playoffs, there's nothing like it, whether you're playing in it or you're watching. So we got a great group here and a special opportunity. So no doubt you catch a little bit of it last night or some of the highlights this morning, you get excited.
Where are you with your own game, John, coming off a point-a-game season? It's the second time you've done that.
Yeah, I think I built a lot of good things throughout the year this year. So, but just continuing to be a good 200-foot player in whatever scenario that is. Obviously, being on the wing or in the middle, we got tremendous depth and options and combinations, playing with a lot of different guys this year. Having that versatility and flexibility, I think, is a strength of my game, something I work at hard and want to continue to build and be effective in any role, any situation you're put in. So, things have been, I think, strong for the most part, and saw some good results there. So, just go out there and play well. Focus on executing in the details that are part of our game as a team, and what I have to do for myself individually.
What do you anticipate on the wing now, at least to start?
What do I see?
Anticipate playing on the wing.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to the things I talked about throughout the last third of the season here, and just a lot of wall play. Finding ways to get back in through the middle of the ice. That's traditionally that's where I am, and probably a lot of my game has been built around. Obviously continue to be good in the offensive zone, below the dots and around the net. Obviously been a strength of my game for a long time. Just your assignments and D-zone coverage and those sorts of things. Understanding shot lanes and reading those, and continuing to get better at stuff like that. So those details that are a little less frequent when you're in the middle.
What do you see as the biggest difference between the Lightning team you played last year and this year's version of Tampa, from the pre-scout or the matches you had?
There's not a whole lot different. I think they still have their main pieces that have been a part of that group for a while now. Obviously they have lost some really good players that made significant contributions, but they're still a tremendous hockey team with a great pedigree, and obviously they have a tremendous self-belief. So we know it's going to be a tough test. Looking forward to it, and we have a lot of belief in our group, and just like I said, really enjoying this, making the most of it, leaving everything on the table, and doing what we need to do to get the result we want.
Do you feel like the stakes are higher this year? Like, what's your sense of the urgency around it?
It's playing for the Stanley Cup. It's always special. it's always exciting, and for our group, all we have in front of us is today's game and what we can do to prepare and be at our best for that. And like I said, I think throughout the course of the regular season, starting in training camp, and the way that the team comes together and builds, and obviously made some great additions. You just focus on building through that, coming together, and preparing for now as you earn your place to be here, and excited about the opportunity. Every year, any chance you get to compete for the Stanley Cup, you want to make the most of it.
John, you were a part of a team in the past that took a long time to get over a playoff hump, and you were ultimately a big part of getting over that hump in that situation. Do you see similarities here, and do you draw upon it in any way?
Yeah, a little bit. It's sometimes things just come down to one or two plays or one or two shifts, and you compete so hard, and it's just executing and being on the right side of that. And whether that's obviously making a play or just being really detailed in the way you defend, or at times just something going your way in the nature of the game of hockey and getting a bounce or two, but obviously just staying with it and being ready for each and every shift, just knowing how important each and every play and every moment is, so you're on the right side of those opportunities when they present themselves. So it's just very difficult to win in this league, and obviously in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So but yeah, obviously we haven't accomplished getting past the first step here, and no doubt we're motivated to do that, and executing all series long, but obviously in key moments we obviously want to be really good there.
Sir, last question.
Are your kids pumped?
Yeah, I still think they're figuring out the concept of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but they do understand what the Stanley Cup is. So yeah, they've been asking me for the last few days why I haven't been playing any games. So just trying to explain that, but yeah, I think they're excited.
How you feeling on the morning of game one?
Good. It's obviously exciting. This is when the real season starts, if you will. So everyone's excited to go, and obviously watching the games last night gets you excited to get going, and I think we're ready.
What can you take from last year's season in your development that could perhaps help you guys this time around against Tampa?
I think we just know that as playoff hockey, it's going to be tight games all the way through. The margin for error is pretty slim. Bounce here, a penalty there, or whatever is oftentimes the difference in these games, and we're going to have to be really focused on our details.
You played for Keefe for a long time. Marley isn't here. What's he like as a coach? How has he changed over the years, both in terms of his strategies and communication?
I think he's been pretty consistent in who he is and how he coaches. I think he's really good at, I mentioned the details for players earlier, but he gives us a lot of the info and a lot of things that might seem apparent, but when you break it down in a certain way, it makes a lot of sense. So I think he's done a really good job, obviously, as he's been here, and we're all looking to make him look good and make ourselves look good.
How's the team different this year, do you feel?
Our team? I guess we'll find out, but I think we've done a good job adding pieces, maybe some more physicality throughout our lineup with Schenn and guys like Cookie, guys that are going to do the simple things, and I feel like since we've made the moves, we've come together and gelled pretty well.
What kind of impact do you think McCabe is having in the group?
Kaber's been great. Yeah, I played with him a couple times, and I think you gain a greater appreciation for players, especially when you play with them and you notice all the little things they do well that make your job easier. So I really can't say enough good things about him.
What is it about him that you now know as a teammate you didn't before?
Honestly, it's like something you got to feel out there where you're like, wow, this is a puck that's in a tough spot, but then he somehow gives you the puck in an easier spot, or like he makes a good play where all of a sudden you're breaking out as opposed to defending for the whole shift or something like that. So it's kind of hard to really put a finger on exactly what it is, but like I said, when you are out there with him, you realize, wow, he's really like driving the play in the right direction.
How big? You played playoffs a number of years now. You said you watched some of the games last night. When I see the difference from game 82 to game 1 of the playoffs, it seems like the intensity is just incomparable. Do you feel the same way? How would you describe that difference?
Yeah, for sure. And you see it last night, like you said, and you can see it as a viewer, just how much more physical it is. Like everyone's finishing every check, the energy's just higher, and the urgency's higher with every play.
Last year, the first game of the playoffs, I think there was more than 100 penalty minutes. by the last game of the playoffs, I think it was down to 10. What is it? Is it the first game that's just intense, you're filling each other out? Or like, how do you handle that kind of?
Yeah, I think it's partially that. It's, both teams trying to impose their will right away and make it apparent that, you come to compete and you're ready to play. Obviously, as the series wears on or as the games keep stacking up, it's hard to maintain that level of intensity and physicality. That's the challenge. Just in terms of the wear and tear on your players, it's difficult. But I do think that, like you said, the first game is always extremely intense.
How big is the support staff at this time of year, from Jason Spets all the way down to your video coaches who are having a pretty good year themselves?
Yeah, massive. Some of those guys are tasked with getting us all the info necessary to be successful out there, and we're just trying to take it all in. And like you said, from Spets or the treatment staff or the equipment managers, making sure we got all the right gear. They've been great all year, and their job continues to be important.
Do you feel like the stakes are higher for the group this year? Like, what's your sense of the urgency? Is it the same as usual, or?
Yeah, I think the stakes are always high. The goal is the same for all 16 teams that are in the playoffs, and that's to win. There can only be one winner. So, we always want to be the one at the end, and the stakes are high.
Like Mark on the morning of Game 1.
It's always exciting. I think, you come to the rink, it's a different feel for sure. I think the guys are, we've put in, a good few days of work here preparing, but nothing compares to when you walk in today. It's Game 1, and it feels a lot of excitement, a lot of looking forward to tonight for sure.
How do you deal with pressure?
You got to use it in the right way. I think, in playoffs, you see through watching other games yesterday, like the first 10 minutes, it's going to be, everything's ramped up. The physicality, all the things in the game are quicker and more physical, but use it in the right way, use it in a positive way. We're in a great spot here, starting playoffs, so we're looking forward to it. Obviously, there's going to be nerves and butterflies and all those things, but I think that those are good things, and usually when you have those, you play better.
I wonder what sort of tone the core group, the leaders, the guys who've been here for a while have been setting. What are you picking up from them right now?
Well, a lot like all season, we know what type of team we have in here, and we know what type of game we have to play to be successful. And for us, it's when we can get to playing really structured and well defensively, our offense comes from there, and we're a pretty tough team to beat.
A couple of your teammates said watching games last night has fired them up too. Did you see any last night? It's the same for you?
Yeah, for sure. You always, there's no, I don't know if there's anything better than watching the first round of the playoffs, either being a player or a fan of games. But you just see, you watch the games, you see the tendencies. Every game's tight, right? Like a few overtime games, and I think the other two were pretty tight. 1-goal game and a 2-goal game. So it's going to be close. So you just gotta really focus on every shift, because you never know when that moment's going to be, the deciding one.
Jordan McCabe going to play his first game. What do you remember about your first Stanley Cup playoff and what you were feeling?
Yeah, there'll be nerves for sure. I think Kaber's, he's been waiting for this for a long time, and talking to him, and just excited for him. But what I remember, man, that was a long time ago. I don't remember too much, but I remember playing against a pretty good Detroit team back in the day. So it was, there's nerves, but the things that really stand out are the atmosphere. Obviously, the building's it's louder, and just like I said, every play just feels like it's so much more magnified.
You talk about the physicality of the playoffs compared to regular season. The regular season's gotten faster, so sometimes there's a little less contact. Like, how much of a difference is it at this time of year compared to the regular season, maybe compared to a decade ago?
Yeah, I just think individuals and teams really get really detailed at this time of year. So guys aren't going to turn away from many hits in playoffs. They're not going to miss assignments. So just things like that make the game that much more intense, right? So again, at the end of the day, you get out there and you got to execute and do all the same things, but yeah, you just know there's going to be that level of intensity that's not there in the regular season.
How do you view the challenge that Tampa presents, and do you put any credence, Mark, in the fact that down the stretch they probably didn't play as well as we all might have thought?
I don't really, to be honest. I look at the last 3 years; they've been in the final. They've won 2, and they've been in the final. So, you know, what's that 12 series where they've lost 1? So we know what type of opponent we're playing, and we're very familiar with them. And we just again, it comes down to I think those little moments where you might not think they're big moments at the time, but over the course of a series, they're big.
Missing the last 2 games, it must feel like you haven't played in like forever. Knowing you, it's just like, what are you feeling physically, mentally right now?
Oh no, I feel good. I think, I mean, yeah, you always want to play, but I think it was the right call. Feel fresh, feel good, and got some really good practice days and gym lifts in. So I think that'll go a long way for me as the playoffs go on.
Waited a long time to play a Maple Leafs playoff game. What are you feeling right now?
Yeah, better late than never, I guess. It's been a long time in the making, and yeah, I don't know if you would have predicted in 2008 that my first playoff game would come in 2023, but yeah, it's been quite a journey, and just really looking forward to it. Obviously, I watched playoffs last year, and you know, you could almost feel the atmosphere and how great it was just even watching through the TV. So. Obviously, it's an exciting time, and we got a really tough challenge ahead of us.
What's it like skating around out there this morning, seeing the towels? Like, what's the energy like?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like I said, it's everything you dream of, and yeah, I couldn't be more proud to be you know, given this opportunity here at this point in my career. So yeah, I'm just going to try to enjoy it, and obviously, like I said, you know, we've got a team over there that knows what it takes to win, and we got our work cut out for us, and you know, it's going to be a great series.
What's your sense of this group right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, it's been a work in progress. You know, when you bring in a bunch of new bodies kind of on the last stretch of the season, everyone's trying to figure out sort of what their roles are, where they belong, and kind of mixing and matching different lines, and guys getting used to systems and getting familiar with each other. But it's starting to feel like I start to gel towards the end a little bit, and you know, it's just I want to continue to do that, you know, build the process a little bit, and you know, hopefully the results will work themselves out.
What did you learn about how those Tampa guys handle pressure? Like, why are they able to come through at this time of year?
Well, I mean, I think that comes with experience. Obviously, you know, a lot of those core group of guys, you know, they've lost out earlier on in their career too, and you know, you learn from that, and obviously you come back and you kind of figure out different sort of things that, and you know, obviously there's different challenges in playoff series, so. I think a lot of it is probably, obviously they got a really skilled group over there, good core bunch of guys, and you got a top defenseman in the world. You got Stammer, Point, Cooch, and Vasi, one of the best goalies. So good core group of guys. They got some guys as well that, you know, play their roles great. And then on top of that too, they're mentally strong where, you know, they feel they always have a chance and can always pull through in any game or any series. And like I said, that comes with experience, and, you know, that's why experience is a huge thing, and obviously we've got new guys on the team that have experience, and guys who have been here previously with different experiences. So it's going to be a tough one.
You talked to your friend. You're really close with a bunch of those guys.
Yeah.
Is it radio silence? Did you send one text to say, "Hey, it's over now," or do you still, you know, talk to them?
No, I'm not talking to them now. Their phone's been shut off that way as far as communication. But obviously, ran into a couple of guys when we were in Tampa last week, and you know. Obviously congratulated Stammer on his 1,000th game, and like I said, you know, I've said this previously, is when you go through experiences like that and you get the opportunity to win with guys, those are lifelong friends in any sport. Obviously you create bonds and memories that you know, will last forever. But saying that, you know, it's a new season, it's a new challenge. Everyone flips gears, and you know, for me, obviously I'm trying to do whatever I can to help this organization and team, and you know, like I said, I'm real proud to be here right now.
What have you learned about this core, Luke? Like, what have you seen about the leaders and the big guys? They face the most pressure. Like, what are you picking up from them?
Yeah, I mean, everyone. I think obviously it's tough coming in. A lot of these guys here have kind of, you know, gone through some tough experiences, and I think everyone continues to just work away and chip away at it, and everyone's getting better. And like I said, that experience is a huge thing too. So, core group of guys here, obviously that have, you know, like I said, made progress, and now it's for real. This is the part of the season that you play for, and yeah, obviously you're going to ask both sides and both sides of confidence. That's why it's going to be great, and that's why the playoffs are so exciting.
Sheldon, as you reflected on last year's series, why do you think it worked out well in Game 1 for you? What did you like about how your team attacked the opportunity?
It was a funny game. If I remember it, obviously we had a huge penalty kill to get through early in the game. That gave us some life and momentum. Through that, we found our way through it, fortunately. And, other than that, it was a bit of a snoozer of a first period for the most part. We found a way to get one in, and then the second period came alive. But, we don't, I'm not looking at too much there in terms of what it means right now. If anything, it's just a sign of just how long the series is, and the ups and downs that come with playing in a series. But in terms of here for tonight's game, we're just, we're obviously do a lot of preparations, and what's at stake with the playoffs, all these kind of things. But generally, you try to just make it seem as much like a regular game day as any other. And our team's played some good hockey, leading up to this game here. So obviously, we just want that to continue.
A lot of whistles early in that series, and then again last week in Tampa. How much of that is a talking point when you address the team, and what's the best strategy to,
Yeah, we've talked about it. We've been talking about it for a few weeks now. Not really even long before playing Tampa last week. We want to make sure we're staying out of the box as much as we can and being smart with that. We want to be hard and competitive and want to stand our ground and all these kind of things, but we've got to be very smart with it. There were a lot of penalties called last season, and I didn't get a chance to see too many of the games yesterday, but in some certainly there was some calls being made after whistles and stuff that they don't want to let things get out of hand that way. So we just got to play smart hockey, and that's really it, and just keep our focus on the things that matter during play.
Feels like we've been waiting for this moment for a long time, even this regular season, the break to the playoffs. What are you feeling from the group as they try and walk that line between being too amped up and being ready?
I just think our guys have been very businesslike. Like I said, I don't think we're getting too worked up or focusing too much on changing anything. I think the guys are just have a quiet confidence about them. They were just going through their routines. There was, we had great attention, great focus through our meetings the last few days in preparation for this. But I think, like always, when you get through their prep, you get to a point where you just want to drop the puck and play hockey, and that's where we're at.
What do you emphasize over these last 3 days that maybe have been different, even though you've known you're going to play Tampa for a while and you've been able to talk about it? What do you emphasize over those last 3 days, especially as you get ready for tonight?
Yeah, you're just getting into more detail on different things, a little bit more specific as it relates to player tendencies and things like that nature. You speak a lot of generalities when you go through a regular season and whatnot, but we separated. We've had some practices here over the last month, and we've taken one thing here or there that you focus on, and you kind of bring it all together here in the last few days. So to that end, the preparation is a little bit different than you would face in the regular season. You certainly don't have much time in the regular season to prepare for any one opponent coming in, but we've been able to focus on it while at the same time, being very mindful of our game and how we want to play and how we need to play to have success. So we try not to steer too far from our own identity.
When you know for so long who you're going to play, and I'm sure the pre-scout is probably the longest you've ever seen any series or team you've ever played against. Is it possible to have too much information on a thing like this?
Yeah. Of course it is. Yeah, I don't think it's impossible necessarily for the coaches. I think that's part of it, is to take in, especially when you have time to take in the information. But the art of the whole thing is to make sure you're delivering it in a manner that's not overwhelming for the players or nothing that's useless to them. You just try to keep the focus on the areas that you think are going to affect the games the most, and the areas where you want to be really great in. And like I said, you never want to steer through that process too far away from your own identity, and making sure that the guys feel good or in the sharp. In our practice yesterday, there's certain things inside of each of the drills we're doing, but generally we tried to go with all the staples that we go through throughout the course of a season, try to keep things as normal as possible.
You just comment on Eric Sheldon being called up and the latest on Matt Murray?
Yeah, on Källgren, I guess there's a new rule or policy, I guess, in place here now to have an NHL contracted goalie on board that's healthy and ready to go as a third guy. So Källgren's that guy. Obviously, someone we're comfortable with having around here, and he'll be with us and available. And Murray's continued to progress. He's been skating. He's coming up on about a week or so now, with some off days in there of skating and progressing well, but still not at the point where he would qualify as one of those three.
Sheldon, what was that conversation like the first time that you talked to John Tavares about switching to the wing and playing with Ryan there after you guys traded for Ryan O'Reilly? What does it tell you about his character, the way he's accepted that at this point?
Yeah, well, to be honest, the first conversation about that probably came about 2 or 3 years prior to that, where John had a conversation, and it's something that, he originally brought up to me, a few years back about some different things. We were talking through some different combinations and things. Obviously, I think at the time it was more, well, could we at times put him on the left side with Matthews and Marner, and how might that look? And that started with that a few years back. And, the center ice position is so important, and he's so valuable to us there. It's not something we entertained for too long, but with the addition of O'Reilly, they changed that picture for us. So, it's something he and I have talked about off and on over the last couple of years. So, I think if I remember correctly, O'Reilly's first day with us was a game day. We traded for him, and then the next morning was a morning just like this one. So it was just having a conversation with John to let him know what I was thinking, and he was all for it. So it wasn't anything that I was too concerned about, because, like I said, there had been a number of conversations over my tenure here.
What do you make of how he's adjusted to it? Talking to him, it seems like he still wants to get to the middle of the ice a lot. What do you make of how he's made that adjustment?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's part of it. You have to spend a lot more time on the walls for sure, but it is a good habit to have for any winger, that you want to get to the middle of the ice. At the end of the day, that's where things happen. You look, a guy like Mitch Marner, for instance, he doesn't spend a whole lot of time on the walls. Once we have the puck, he's getting inside the dots and playing inside in the good ice there. So the more you can get there, I think it's a good thing. So I think that's an important quality for him to have, but certainly playing on the walls in your own end, which really, if we're talking about it, the biggest change and really where the positions are perhaps most defined, it's in your own end. Otherwise, the game's pretty free-flowing nowadays in the neutral zone and certainly the offensive zone. So it's really just in your own end, and that's really it, just getting comfortable handling pressure on the walls and the defensive assignments associated with it. But otherwise, I think the game's pretty free-flowing, and when you have more players that can play different positions, such as the way O'Reilly and Tavares can, and a Nylander even, who can play both wings and play center himself, it allows things to flow a little bit better there too.